if you're just an a-hole, like we don't want you in the organization, man. Like it's going to bring everybody down. It's going to piss people off. It's easier to cut things off than it is to grow things. So get rid of the dead weight. Get rid of it. You don't need it.
What if you could build a business in the modern world as big or as small as you want without having to compromise the things that were the most important to you in the very beginning? This is the Wealthy Consultant Talks podcast with Taylor Welch and Mike Walker, as they share with you today their learning lessons from stories in their experiences over the past 10 to 15 years and share with you right here, right now. Let's get into it.
What is going on, my friends? Mike Walker here, excited to connect with you on another TWC Talks podcast, the Wealthy Consultant podcast. Hey, I've got one for you that I believe is going to help you. If you own, operate, or manage a business, inevitably, some way along the line, you are probably going to experience a financial difficulty. Dare I say, even potentially you're back up against the wall where you feel pretty stuck and you're concerned. You're worried about, hey, am I going to make it? Can I make payroll this week? Am I going to clear the monthly expenses? All those things, right? If you haven't been there yet, hopefully you never will. Hopefully you never will. But it is very likely that you will experience that scenario unless you know some things in advance, and hopefully you have people in your corner that can keep you out of those scenarios. But I do find, having worked with so many entrepreneurs over the years, that through trial and error, they might find themselves in a predicament financially where they're stuck. What was working is no longer working. And all of a sudden they get hit maybe by a legal issue or something that happens along the line that forces them to, come to the realization that they may not be in such a great spot financially. And that can look for, a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. But what I wanted to do today was simply drop you a couple different perspectives, some even strategies, some tactics that you can use to not only get yourself out of that type of scenario, if you do so find yourself in one, but also keep yourself out of it in the future. And that's ultimately what we want to talk about. So let's just go with the ride, on a ride with me today. We're just gonna consider that maybe there's somebody in your world, in your ecosystem, that is finding themselves in this situation. Maybe you can pass along the information and help them. All right, excellent. So let's get into it. So the first thing I like to tell clients is like, look, if they come to me, hey, Mike, we're in a bad spot. I don't know what's going on, but we're probably not going to make payroll this month, or we're in a bad spot. I'm not going to be able to, meet my end of the bargain in terms of some of the financial responsibilities that they may have, whether that be their lease or whatever it is, right? They're just in a bad spot financially. And so what I'm going to do is walk you through the steps that I take them through mentally to kind of attack this. And what I tell them to do is, look, we're going to attack this from two sides. Whenever we identify a problem in our business in particular, I really like to just zero in on it and attack it. Don't just go, yeah, I'm going to work on that along with all these other things. No, screw that. Like, let's go all in and just annihilate this thing. Like, where attention goes, energy flows. And if we just put our focus towards this one thing and make it like, this is the thing that I'm going to dominate today, this week, this month, whatever it may be, then things move. Like, things happen when you put that level of focus and energy towards it. And so really what I like to do is just make sure that they embrace that mentality that, look, we are going to attack this thing from two sides. Because a lot of times when people come to me in these situations, they feel out of control. They feel like, man, I don't know what to do. I don't have the money coming in. They kind of just are spinning. They're like, man, I hope this figures itself out, or I hope the phone rings and a new sale will come in, or, they lack control. The human brain hates when we don't have control. It thrives on control. It thirsts for control, right? And so our brain is constantly trying to keep us safe. And one of the safest environments we can be in is one that we can control. Well, if we find ourselves lean on finances and we are in a bad spot financially, then we need to obviously put ourselves in a spot of control. And that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing is death by 1,000 cuts. This is kind of an obvious one, but it's one that I still like to highlight because at least I want to check it off the list as it having already been done. I don't want to assume that someone's actually done this. And that is that so many businesses die a death by 1,000 cuts, meaning it's a 10% SaaS subscription over here. It's an old program that they're paying for that they never even use anymore over here. It's the doubling up on lease space or whatever it is that they used to need it, or they used to think they needed it. They barely use it now. You know the drill, right? Like over time, businesses just bloat. Like things just kind of attach, like gravity, right? Like things just kind of start to attach onto it. It's a really good practice every quarter or at least every 6 months to go through the financials. What is my burn? What are we paying for month in, month out that I'm just not using? I don't care if it's a $10 Netflix subscription, like get rid of it if it's not serving your business, right? If you are truly back against the wall financially, you need to cut expenses. One of the fastest ways to speed up is through reduction. It's a lot easier to kill something off than it is to grow it from the beginning, from the start, right? So let's go through the burn and make sure that every single thing that is outflowing from your business is something that needs to be paid for. A really good analogy that I like to use is, if you've ever moved houses or residences, right? Offices, whatever, and you're packing everything up, you're putting all your belongings into boxes, and you come across things, you're like, man, I haven't seen this in 2 years, or, oh, I haven't worn this shirt in who knows how long, or I forgot to even own this thing, right? This is a perfect opportunity to get rid of it. Like totally get rid of it. You do not have the luxury right now of carrying things around with you that you don't need, specifically in the area of expenses. And so same thing when you move, right? Like use the opportunity of moving to get rid of junk, get rid of old things. If you need it again in the future, great. You'll buy it again. No big deal. But get rid of things. It's the same thing with expenses. Like if you haven't been using it, if it's not absolutely a necessity for your business, get rid of it. You can probably get something similar or even better later in the future anyway. All right. So go through the P&L, make sure that you know every single outflowing expense that is hitting your bank account every single week, day, week, month, and make sure that you can account for every single one of those needing to be there for the functionality of your business. All right. So cut through all expenses. The second attack is that we're going to go through your org chart. Every single business owner should have a visual representation of their organization and the people in it. All right. Now, whether you are a team of one and you just have a virtual assistant, obviously this becomes very easy. If you have a very, very large team, then naturally these org charts get very, very big. But what I'm really wanting you to focus on is the caliber of the people within the organization. Here inside Chamber with our top tier consultancies and clients, we run them through a framework that we use both here in-house for our own organization, but also we teach it to clients, and that is the ACE framework. The ACE framework, ACE, ACE. All right. And now what does that stand for? It stands for attitude, competency, and experience. Attitude, competency, and experience. You want to rate every single person on your team a scale of 1 to 10 for each of those three things. Attitude, pretty self-explanatory. Like, do I really like this person? Do I really not like this person? Rank it 1 to 10. Based on their attitude, their energy, the vibe that they bring into your organization. Scale 1 to 10. Competency. How competent are they? Do they have the capacity, the ability to do the functions and the responsibilities that are required of that particular role? Are they competent in doing it? And then lastly, scale 1 to 10, experience. How much experience are they bringing to this position? How much background are they bringing to this role that they are fulfilling in your company? Scale 1 to 10. Now you'll notice the order of those, by the way. I like to always highlight this too. Attitude comes first. Why? Because I don't care if you're the best of the best of the best. If you're just an a-hole, like we don't want you in the organization, man. Like it's going to bring everybody down. It's going to piss people off. All right. Especially in smaller environments, you cannot afford to have people that are blowing up your culture just because they're, too big-headed or they're just negative or whatever, right? No Debbie Downers, no negative Nancys. We can't have that. So attitude comes first. We rank that very, very high. We weight that score very, very highly. Competency is next. Are they competent? Like, yes, we can train skill. Like people can get better, but are they actually competent to withstand those skills? Are they competent enough to actually get better? Right? Like, are their natural abilities in alignment with the role that they have? And then lastly, experience. So notice it's the last of the three, not because it's not important, but because again, experience can be taught. We can train you. We can't train attitude, right? And we can't train natural ability as much as we can experience. And so therefore it's ranked last, but still obviously very important. Now notice all three of those are ranked 1 to 10. If you have anybody in your organization that is a 7 or lower, they need to be put on a watch list. If there's anybody 6 or lower, they probably need to be moved on. especially in light of a financial difficulty. If you are in a financial hardship in your business, you do not have the luxury, you cannot afford to have any single person on your team that is not absolutely a needle mover, a value adder, somebody that is progressing your business forward. You cannot have that. I would always rather have an empty seat than a bench warmer, because a small team of A players will make up for 5 to 10 times the amount of C's and B players that you have on there. So those people aren't just costing you in terms of monthly burn and their salary or commissions, but they're drawing your team down. They're slowing you down. It's an anchor. Again, it's easier to cut things off than it is to grow things. So get rid of the dead weight. Get rid of it. You don't need it. The A team, the A players will step up. They will make up for that, for those gaps that are formed by people leaving, and it's going to reduce the pressure load on your expenses for the month. So keep that in mind. Again, you simply do not want to have anybody that is not an absolute A player, especially when you're in a financial difficulty. And lastly, once you have culled your team, once you have trimmed it down to that A team status, you need to go and communicate to every single one of those players, have them come back to you with, hey, what does success look like in your department? We're in a financial difficulty. We're really pushing through. We're in a hardship right now. We need to step up. We need to get better. We need to get healthier in this business. I need from you by end of day, at least 5 ideas of ways that we can become more efficient, more progressive, more ideas flowing. Like how are we going to increase profitability? How are we going to increase revenue? I don't care if it's frontline support or sales or marketing. Every single person on your team is selling. We're all selling something, right? So every single person on your team is responsible for revenue generating activities. So what would this look like? Well, for support, for example, support and client services. Hey guys, by the end of the day, I need 5 ideas of how we can increase retention, so we're not losing so many clients every month, or to increase actual revenue. So what could that look like? Well, let's create a referral program, like all in. Let's go this week. We're all focused on getting some referrals in. Maybe we can bring in some fresh business, right? So they can be doing stuff. Marketing. Hey, marketing. We need a cash injection into the business. We really need to bring in some revenue. What can we do as an end of month promotion this week? Like, what can we do this week? Right? So everybody can come up with different ideas. Have them come to you. If they are an A player, they're bringing you ideas. You're not hiring them just for their hands. You're hiring them for their brain. Otherwise, they're just workers, and you can go get more workers whenever you need. What you truly need when you're in a financial difficulty is you need thinkers. You need people that are bringing value to the organization. That means not all the ideas are coming from you. And then once we have that, we've attacked it from the burn side, right? Like the things that are costing us money, we've attacked it from that side. Now we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to attack it with what can we do to bring in that new revenue? We've attacked it with new ideas. What else can we bring? What are the new sales? What are the new offers that we can do? And then lastly is creating frameworks so that you're never in this situation again. Once you get your head above water, once you're out of survival mode, once the dust has settled, we need to make sure that we're not put in this type of financial difficulty again in the future. How do we do that? Well, essentially, there's a lot of ways, and obviously every business is going to be different. Every industry is going to have different economic flows and everything else. But one of the most fundamental principles that I would suggest pretty much every single client, and it relates well across all sectors, is having a CEO dashboard, having something very, very simple, a one screen, one page dashboard that gives you those high level KPIs, those what we call North Star KPIs, that allow you to have a very fingertip feel as to what's happening across your entire organization on a weekly basis. This is something that we go really deep into in one of our playbooks inside Chamber called the 8-Figure Teams Playbook. And it breaks down, literally meeting by meeting, template by template, how we do this. But in simplest of terms, even if you're not, in Chamber or have access to that playbook, reach out to us if that's something that you want to learn more about, obviously. But even if you don't, the key here is that every single department lead needs to be responsible for 3 to no more than 5 KPIs that they report on every single week. That weekly cadence is a perfect spot. Monthly meetings are great, but they're too long. Like by the time you've met again, shit's gone down. Like things have changed, and it's harder to pivot. Daily is a little bit much. There's too much data. There's a lot of noise. Things are moving up and down really quickly and changing really dynamically. And you can get some false negatives. You can get some false positives. Like it's too much, and it's harder to make decisions that way. We find the weekly cadence to be perfect, and make sure that your team leads in each department have a very clear understanding of what their North Star KPIs are. Because when those North Star KPIs are being monitored on a weekly basis, you won't get put into a blind spot anymore. You won't get put into the corner anymore because you will have seen something coming. 99.9% of the time, financial difficulties could have been averted if there was just better forecasting, if there was better understanding of what's coming down the line and what risks are. We can't read the future. Things happen, things go wrong. That's just called business, right? But if you have hedges built into your business, if you can accommodate for the fact that, hey, we don't know what we don't know, then you need to have frameworks, financial frameworks and modeling built into your business that will absorb those types of variables. You know, so many people are on this razor thin edge of profitability that if one thing unexpected happens, things blow up on them. You cannot have that. You have to know that there are going to be variables. There are ebbs and flows in every cycle and every season. And so you need to build in for that. You need to accommodate for that. And the only way to do that well and to stay ahead of it and be predictive instead of proactive instead of, reactive is to build in systems that allow you to monitor it on a close enough basis to where you can stay ahead of it. Like, whoa, guys, our trajectory this month is not looking healthy on this particular area. We got to get ahead of it. And then what do? You immediately dive back into that thinking outside the box pattern that we discussed earlier about, okay, guys, we got to attack this thing all in. We're going to attack this problem before it becomes a real problem, right? As soon as you can do that, if you can spot problems earlier, farther up line, and then take that all in attack approach, things will be absorbed a lot easier. You'll find yourself never really getting into a dire straits situation where you get thrown into full on, survival mode. So anyway, guys, that's it for you. Hopefully this helps. Rewatch this one. I threw a lot at you. If you need to, take notes, pass it forward, give this one forward if you feel it can help somebody. And we'll see you on another episode of TWC Talks. Take care, guys. See you on another one. Cheers.